Do you want PTSD just like your granddad? You want to be scared by fireworks on the 4th of July? Is your wife in a one-way open relationship? If even only one of these ring true, Private, you're in luck. We're off to Nam.
This guy knows how to fly. This guy's a real baller. Where's the ball? What the fuck? Look at that turn, that subtle. Why, I got sniped out the helicopter.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
No! No!
Rising Storm 2 is one of my favourite games. It's a hybrid FPS, somewhere between an arcade shooter and a milsim. It puts you smack bang in the middle of the Vietnam War, where you play as either the Beach Bubbers or the Talking Bushes. Matched against each other, you're dynamite. As the real freedom fighters, the great old US of A, and additionally the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, or even the Aussies, your task is to spread insurmountable amounts of freedom and democracy to those good men, women and children of Vietnam, banishing those commies back to where they belong, in hell through the use of unfiltered patriotism, napalm and herbicides.
Weed 'em out, boys.
You tool.
As for the real freedom fighters, the VC, consisting of the People's Army of Vietnam or the National Liberation Front, your task is to defend your once peaceful nation against the real enemy, capitalism, and the impending doom that is subscription services. Become a member of the Rogu channel now to get exclusive. The best offense is a good defense, at least that's what happened in the real Vietnam War. Counter those Yanks with your knowledge of the forest and your surroundings. They think greenery is their ally. The US merely adopted the forest, you were born in it, moulded by it. Now go spread the Red Scare. In the end, it doesn't even matter which team you pick, since it's going to be a bloodbath on both sides anyway. You'll get team killed, bombed and gunned down no matter what. You won't live very long, and that's fine. The main differences between the two halves are their arsenals. It's clear who has the strongest suite of arms. As you know, the USA, unless you've been living deep underground, as to which they would have dug you up to check for oil by now anyway, are very rich. So rich in fact that you can turn the war into a feature film, with fully practical effects. You can paint your apocalypse now, napalm peppered over the forest with little to no care to your heart's content. The money doesn't stop there, however. Winning this war means the stability of democracy and freedom. This meant taking warfare to new heights. Helicopters were something the VC didn't have. Hellfire from the miniguns bolted to the sides rained from above, and there's not much they can do about it, other than scream and beg to be let free. Helicopters aren't just useful for mowing down soldiers and innocent bystanders for that matter. Sometimes they're needed to deploy new troops onto the battlefield. The Huey does just that, getting 6 passengers from base camp to the forefront. You can blast songs on the radio if you want to. Staying in the sky, there was nothing scarier to be shot at than by an AC-47. 2,400 horsepower, 29 metre wingspan, and 33,000 pounds of sheer liberation. Perfectly crafted to strike fear into the hearts of the VC. Hell of a lot of guns too. Artillery is also provided for the commander to strategically call in, whether it's to rinse a choke point of infestation or to cut off an attack vector. It's a surprisingly good deterrent. One thing I do wish they had in this game is boats, but one can dream. Not sure if they would have worked anyway with the map designs and it depending heavily on the weather and all.
It's really windy.
I just would have loved a PBR.
Apocalypse now. Exactly what it is. PBR, Control by River, Part 2.
As an infantry soldier, boots on the ground, you may find yourself using the newly made M16. 18 bullets in the mag as the full 20 would cause it to jam. Points for realism there. You can also use weapons from the bygone era, or ones that were being phased out towards the end of the war, such as the M14 or the M2 carbine. If you love the sweet ping of the M1 Garand, that's available too. There's far too many of them to list on the south side, most are pretty good. With that being said, I will add that the world's 2 favourite pain inflictors are available to the Southern Forces, and unlike other games, they aren't toned down and nerfed in the name of fairness. The trench gun is as vicious as it was in real life. The Nazis not around this time trying to ban it due to unnecessary suffering. Ironic really. In game, it has exceptional range for a shotgun, and makes heads pop like slush-filled balloons. The other weapon is the mighty flamethrower. It's everything you want it to be and then some. You want a paddy burned down in microseconds? Use the flamethrower. You want the local population char-grilled? Use the flamethrower. Are they more than a stone's throw away? It doesn't matter, it'll reach. Use the flamethrower. It's so unbelievably powerful, no wonder they only get 2 per lobby at any given time. Any more and team kills will be through the roof. Not that it could get much higher to begin with. Enough of the Americans, Aussies in the south, it's time to follow the river up north. As you descend into madness, you and your platoon may fall victim to a pit of punji sticks, arguably one of the worst, most violent ways to die. Punji sticks are bits of bamboo, sharpened to a razor's edge. They're usually placed in holes then camouflaged over to ensnare unsuspecting GI. Effective by themselves, sometimes the VC would coat them with venom, animal feces, and human feces. Nice. Rising Storm 2 lets the northern troops set up these traps, digging up little piles of dirt to place them. They're insanely hard to spot in maps with denser forestry. The Vietnam War, as I'm sure you're all aware by now, is a proxy war of the Cold War between the US and the Soviet bloc. The Soviets, along with China and a few other communist countries, funded North Vietnam in the war efforts against the South, their affiliation no more obvious than in the weapons arsenal. This is Soviet intervention through and through. Name a weapon more iconic than the AK-47. The 1911 maybe the double-barrel shotgun perhaps if you're a fan of Elmer Fudd. The AK-47 is the primary weapon of the Northern Forces. Each 7.62 rattled off is one round close to returning true power to the proletariat masses. They also happen to possess the PPSH-41, another gun from the Soviets, very popular with those who love to mow down Nazis at a Group 935 facility. Given to the sapper role, you have the choice to either use it with stick mags or the, in my opinion, only correct way, drum mags. There's nothing quite like getting up close with the PPSH, it just melts through them, as well as your ammo. We don't really care anyway, because it's too much fun. If you ask me, all weapons pale in comparison to the next one, however. The double barrel shotgun. What an absolute beauty of a weapon. With the option of buckshot or slug rounds, you can either rip the GI's organs to shreds, or you can provide them with a rather large hole. There's something about sneaking round with a double barrel shotgun, loitering around enemy lines and just picking them off one by one, watching them scramble to figure out where you are. Utility wise, the VC are well equipped. Whilst they don't have helicopters, they have the means to take them down with ease in the form of DSHKs that you can find on maps like Resort and Hill 937. If you play the RPG class, you get access to, well, have a guess. The RPG is insanely useful for taking down helicopters, people behind cover, or those in bunkers. One good shot is all it takes, you win. The Americans being turned into what I would pin as being similar to jam. No! When you open the game and press online, you greet to 4 modes. Territories is like operations from Battlefield 1. The mode consists of the offensive side attacking an objective to push the defenders back and progress to the next point/points, ending with a complete siege of the operation. On the other hand, if the defenders do exceptionally well at their job in keeping the aggressors at bay, a lockdown will be threatened, where they have 5 minutes to push through before the defenders automatically win. A mercy rule, you could say. Both teams have a limited pool of respawns, so dying is something you want to minimise. When your respawns are exhausted, you have one last life. Make it count. Another mode is Supremacy, which is essentially Conquest from other FPS games, but with exceptional style. You fight for control of a number of points on the map, the score ticking based on kills and how many points are currently captured. It puts both sides in the shoes of both the attackers and defenders. It's a back and forth battle. You take one objective, they take the other. You have to defend your points whilst capturing more. A balancing act that can swing based on poor decisions. The other main mode is Skirmish, one that I can't quite honestly say I've played, not that I can remember anyway. It's Supremacy Light, played on cut down maps across rounds with 8-player teams. This game mode has never really appealed to me. I don't feel it fits with the whole Vietnam War theme. The battles need to be large scale, full of action and horror. The horror. The final mode, if you can really call it that, is Campaign. It's the cherry on top of Territories. Spread across 11 years, you and the other team fight for victory over key strategic points, pushing against one another to gain control over South Vietnam. Which team wins depends on who holds a greater number of points at the end, gained by winning territories or by taking full control of the land. I do quite like playing campaigns, however I find myself mostly playing territories just out of them having more full lobbies. Have you ever played Highway 14 with less than 30 people? It's a walking sim. Quite calming, but not what you opened up a game about the Vietnam War for. Somebody once wrote, "Hell is the impossibility of reason." That's what this place feels like. Hell. Hell can almost describe the entire game's atmosphere. It doesn't hold back when firing on all cylinders. The sound of screams wailing in the distance as napalm ravages the land, the constant pattering of gunfire echoing through tunnels and trenches, the absence of noise itself on quieter maps. The sound design of Rising Storm 2 I feel is its most underrated feature, something that most people take for granted, glossing over it in favour of its less than stellar visuals, or its brilliant gameplay. Not many acknowledge the sound design. The guns in Rising Storm have quite the punch to them, which makes sense considering that most of them are 1 or 2 hit kills. They don't sound like they shoot marshmallows. The voice acting is something that stood out to me immediately. Both teams have voice actors who put in their all, from their screams of angst and pain, to their cheers of victory and insults to the opposition. You can tell they had fun, and it really shows in the quality.
He killed all the teammates. He killed absolutely every teammate.
Like I mentioned prior, this game isn't exactly visually stunning in the graphic sense. Even when it came out, it looked dated. For some reason, they used an extremely outdated anti-aliasing filler that just wrecks visibility. Do yourself a favour and just turn off FXAA, please. You'll thank me. However, what it lacks in graphical bliss, it blows out the water with style. This is the Vietnam War after all. Green tints of forestry and rice paddies contrasting the hellish oranges of napalm and fire. I won't go as far as to say this is a game where every frame's a painting, because it's simply not true. I will say though that some of the grandiose set pieces and little missions you and your platoon can embark on sure feel like they're straight out of a war film. This game seems to capture the essence of the Vietnam War, and pulls it off seemingly effortlessly. The maps in this game are exactly what you would expect them to be. Messy, sometimes unbalanced meat grinders, and save for a few, I wouldn't change them at all. Throughout your deployment you'll see many sights, from the lush forests and rice paddies of Firebase Georgina to the historical ruins of Hue City. You can even fight for control of Saigon itself. Although there are a wide variety of maps, most of the time you'll be stuck playing a rotation at same maps due to map voting being a thing, because some maps just simply aren't as good as others. I'm not going to detail all the maps obviously, we would be here ages and squad leader would rather have you join the fight, so here's my favourite and least favourite map. Out of all maps in game, there's not one I dread playing more than Highway 14, a map that contains simply way too much to be even fun. 13 objectives, A all the way through to M. As an attacker, it's unreasonable to believe that you'll be able to capture them all before you run out of tickets. An absolute slog of a time. Every time this map's played, everyone leaves. I wonder why. It takes 20 minutes to get from one side to the other. It's too big for 64 players. 128 maybe would suit it better. Luckily there's a way to do that. I'm kidding. Under no circumstances should you ever join the mega servers, unless you want to run the risk of pouring Agent Orange on your PC. Mega servers fake the player counts, 59 out of 64 usually. Saying that, there's only actually one server, the others redirect to the main one. When you join the server, on Steam anyway, the overlay browser may open and display some ads of the naked kind. Now if you're still in the mindset of the GI, you may be like, hell yeah, I love me some nude women in my shooter game, got to boost morale around here somehow. Don't let the blood get to your head, thinking it'll lead to a live reenactment of the Playmate scenes in Apocalypse Now's Redux Cut. That is very much not the case. The ads are unsurprisingly there to deliver malware, and it should go without saying that you don't exactly want that. There are also reports that the mega server downloads some files to your cache folder. Sources for this however are spotty, some say nothing downloads there, whereas others say the opposite. In this case I think it's better to be safe than sorry, especially since there are other servers that are safe that you can play on. I got sidetracked, apologies. My favourite map by far is the rather funnily named Cu Chi. Get your laughs out now, this place isn't for joking round. This map is almost perfect, it's a blend of both urban and jungle warfare, progressing from the town to ending in the compound in the heart of the forest. There's only 7 points this time round, including 2 groups of 2 that need to be captured simultaneously. This map has it all: long distance fights over rice and rubber plantations, dense combat in markets, an all-out siege at the home stretch. This map progresses deeper and deeper into chaos as you harvest the lives of each other. There are no helicopters to be seen. Aerial support is supplied however by the spooky and napalm. Map balancing is something that Rising Storm 2 seems to struggle with. Apache Snow for example, what an experience. Chi does not struggle with this. Victory lies completely within the skill of your team, the commander dictating the outcome. I think I have a close to a 50-50 win rate on this map. It doesn't matter which team I play on, I won't be wishing that I were placed on the other. It's an absolute blast of a time in my opinion. This map, on Territories, is quite possibly the best experience to be had in the game. I know a lot of people, when they think of the Vietnam War, they think Huey's flying into Ride of the Valkyries or Creedence Clearwater Revival providing backing to the noises of gunfire and napalm. I do too. The intro to this video is just that. There is a map in Rising Storm 2 that captures that entire feeling and atmosphere, that being Resort. The GI's first objective is to gain footing on the island by deploying onto land via choppers. Sounds very Coppola-esque, right? Whilst in theory it sounds like the definitive Vietnam War experience, in practice it's just not a very fun map to play once you get past that first hurdle. The rest of it drags. By the time you've got the first points captured and you have your footing on the beach, you may have most of your tickets drained. The entire game kind of hinges on the quality of the pilots. If they aren't to scratch, chances are the VC will win. It's no fun joining a game just to die over and over for something that's out of your control. It is fun every once in a while, but I don't get why people play the 24/7 servers. Then again, it is preference after all. Rewinding back to the beginning of the video, I said this game was a hybrid between an arcade shooter and a milsim. But what does that actually mean? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, the answer to that is subjective. To me, it's probably my favourite kind of shooter. You see, I enjoy all types of FPS games, from milsims like Armour to any COD that isn't pretending to be realistic, so the Treyarch ones basically.
Just a storm, Dick. Sit down.
When I got Rising Storm 2 in 2021, I thought to myself, wow, this looks like Battlefield with a bit more emphasis on realism. I also love Vietnam War movies, so sign me up, I am seated. After playing it for a while, I realised it wasn't a milsim at all. But it wasn't super arcadey either. Some elements did resemble that of a milsim, like the movement's heavy. Most guns have quite a bit of recoil and they kill in 1 or 2 hits. Dying in 1 hit's terrifying, 1 misstep and it's over. Time and time again I'd get shot from seemingly nowhere. I'd just die, me being none the wiser regarding the location. On the other hand, parts of it were arcadey, such as not having to do logistics runs and it being quite fast paced. This combination's a killer, a blend of what makes those two subgenres so fun. So whilst this game isn't exactly a reenactment of the Vietnam War, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Oh, Kilgore. No way. I'll protect you, Kilgore.
It feels part action film, part sim. Brilliant, for a lack of a better term. Rising Storm 2 is an amazing game. Absolutely worth picking up if you're into these types of games. Saying that, with the game being abandoned now, the game's livelihood is entirely dependent on the community. Remember, do not play mega servers and learn to love the smell of napalm. I'm gonna go now, the running gun blues got to me.
Let's go! Free on point. I genuinely thought your eyes was gonna get blown off.
Screw you, you bastard!
Got him.